Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Muzamil bin Mazalum from DKM 6B. My matrix number is 14 DKM 20F 2017. Today I want to talk about how to troubleshooting and maintenance the bearing and the power transmission. This is the subject for the DJJ 50203. It's a troubleshooting and maintenance. This slide is about the introduction of bearing. A bearing is a machine element that constrains relative motion and is used to reduce friction between moving parts of a machine to obtain the desired motion. For example, a lot of rotating fan is supported by a bearing while reducing noise and vibration and restricting the movement to a radial axis. Many bearings require periodic maintenance to prevent premature failure, although some such as fluid or magnetic bearings may require little maintenance. Most bearings in the high cycle operation needs periodic lubrication and cleaning and may require adjustment to minimize the effect of wear. Objective for case study for the bearing is about number one, which able to analyze bearing failure and friction causes in mechanical components. Number two, able to perform the mounting and dismounting or know how to the methods. Number three, able to identify bearing damage and analyze the elimination of bearing in studies. Number four, diagnose the cause effect, and lastly, troubleshooting the bearing. There are many types of bearing. The first one is rolling element bearing, and number two is sliding or general bearing. There's a picture of ball bearing and roller bearing. The right one is a sliding bearing and journal bearing for the picture. So I want to talk about the performing mounting and dismounting bearing for this slide. Number one, first step is to remove the motorbike rim with a L-wear wedge. After that, take the shaft out the rim. Number two is the bearing is then removed by tapping it out with a screwdriver and hammer. Number three, apply grease around the bearing using hand so that it lasts longer and it is not damaged. Number four, after that, place the bearing in the bearing house. To install the bearing in his residence, use a hammer. Tap carefully to ensure that the bearing fit perfectly. And lastly, after the bearing have been installed in the bearing house, finally reinstall the rim on the motorcycle and tighten it down with a wheel wrench. This is a mounting and dismounting equipment and tools. Number one, screwdriver and hammer. Number two, socket board extractor or recheck tools. Number three, bearing puller. Number four, bearing heaters. Number five, mounting and dismounting kits. And lastly, impact fitting tools. Checklist of bearing damage maintenance and failure system. The first one, visual inspection. The second, noise and vibration. Third, wheel movement. Fourth, steering head bearings. And the fifth, suspension bearings. This slide I want to talk about the preventive maintenance. One, fatigue, vibration and wear. Regular inspection, lubrication and quality bearings. The second one, corrosion damage. How to prevent it? We use corrosion resistant bearings. We use regular lubrication maintenance and apply corrosion inhibitors. The last one, scuffing and sliding. Use the correct lubrication, use the high quality lubricants and monitor lubricant contamination. Maintenance procedure for bearing. First, regular inspection. Visual inspection, check for unusual noise or vibration and temperature monitoring. Number two, lubrication. Re-greasing and check the lubricant levels. And lastly, monitoring condition. Vibration analysis and temperature monitoring. Troubleshooting for bearing. Abnormal bearing temperature. We must use the review installation and consider bearing quality. Noise of rotating bearing. Locate the sources. Identify the noise types. And lastly, vibration of rotating. Increase friction and surface fatigue. This slide I want to talk about the power transmission. Introduction of power transmission. Power transmission is a process to transmit a motion from one shaft to another by using some connection between them like a belt, rope, chain and gears. To connect the shaft, mainly two types of connector are used. One is a flexible and other one is a rigid. In flexible types of connection, there is a relative velocity between the shaft and connectors due to slip and strain produced in the connectors. But in case of rigid connection, there is a no relative velocity between the connector and shaft. Power transmission is the movement of energy from its place of generation to a location where it is applied to performing useful work. Power is defined formally as units of energy per unit time. Objective for the power transmission. Number one, assemble and disassemble a few types of gears, shaft and chains from the practical specimen component as a practical. As an example, from a cycle project, bicycle, motorcycle, etc. Test requirement can be used in a motorcycle or bicycle or any transmission chain and gear are connected with torque. Number two, produce maintenance procedure for a drive of power transmission after assembly process. And lastly, able to perform the practical sequence as how disassemble done to assemble after maintenance tasks. Type of drive mechanism. Number one, belt drive. Number two, chain drive, and number three, gear drive. This is a hand tools for the maintenance for power transmission. Number one, ring spanner. Number two, Allen key, and lastly, board extractor socket set. Assemble and disassemble power transmission for chain. Step 1. Using a ring spanner, remove the 4 pieces of the bolts that hold the chain drive. The tool we use is a ring spanner. The step 2. When all 4 bolts are open, slightly move the chain drive to loosen the chain. Number 3. Replace the chain with a new one. And lastly, replace the chain, then reinsert the bolt and tighten with a ring spanner. For the gear, the step 1 is using an Allen key quickly unlock the 4 socket bolts, and the step 2 is engage the forward gear, open the gear key with the Allen key. For the shaft, the step 1 is using a ring spanner, loosen the bolt. Number 2, pull hard to remove the right shaft. And lastly, firmly insert the new right shaft and tighten the bolt with a ring spanner. Power transmission failure with parts mechanical components in a chain drive and shaft. For a chain drive, sprocket wear, chain elongation. For the shaft, fitting failure, excessive loads. Able to elaborate on function? No. How on the methods components? For the chain and gear system, the first one, in the system, a chain is connected to a gear on the engine's crankshaft and another set of gear is connected to the wheels. Number 2, the torque is directly proportional to the gear ratio as the torque generated by the engine is transferred to the gear through the chain. Number 3, the gear ratio determines how much the torque is multiplied or reduced before reaching the wheels, allowing for adjustment in speed and power. For the belting system, number 1, a serpentine belt is frequently used in the place of a chain in certain automobiles. The belt is wound around the number of pulleys and fastened to the engine crankshaft. Number 2, the engines rotate the belt, which rotate the pulley that are attached to the wheels. And number 3, like the gear system, the size of the pulleys determine the speed and torque transmitted to the wheels. For the crankshaft, fitting failure, the crankshaft is subjected to a cycling loading from the piston may experience fitting failure if there are stress concentration or if the material is not suitable for the engine's power output. Misalignment, Poor alignment of the crankshaft with other engine components can cause vibration, increased wear, and potential failure. For the exercise loads, the engine is modified or operated by if the engine is modified or operated beyond its design capacity, the crankshaft may be exposed to excessive loads, leading to deformation or fracture. Identify friction drive damage and analyze the shaft function in car system. Friction drive damage in friction drive component, analysis of the shaft function. Diagnose the cause effect shaft failure. Misalignment. The cause is a improper alignment of the shaft. Effect excessive vibration. For the imbalance, the cause is the imbalanced mass distribution within the shaft. Effect vibration that could hasten deterioration. Overloading. The cause is a excessive torque or load above the shaft capacity as intended. The effect is pressure on the material of the shaft. This is the reference I got in the internet. I'm read any books to follow the information given. That's it for my case study. I hope you can understand what I'm saying. That's it for all. Thank you and very much.